I'm so sorry. It's not my fault. The YouTube commanded me. When are you reopening the cathedral? I am reopening the cathedral.
What is the cathedral?
This weekend. I am not putting a link to the cathedral in a Destiny stream of all things. But, were you sick beforehand, or were you sick because of who you were speaking with? I was very sick beforehand. I got a bit of a second wind halfway through, which is why I carried it forward as long as it did.
What a brave warrior.
Anyone read the Vosh section? Who cares about the Vosh section?
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, kiss already, we get it.
Whoa.
I am on YouTube Premium, you have no power here. Au contraire. If you're on YouTube Premium, in my analytics, I actually have a separate bar that tells me exactly how much I get from Premium.
Oh.
So you've already paid me. But I think you may
Yeah,
have
Vosh
paid
has a
little bit more.
fortress.
In
This
fact,
guy's
I
got a
think if
cathedral.
you're
What the fuck do we have,
channel
guys?
Member, that goes into it quite a bit. I don't know if that does anything for ads, though.
I feel like a loser now. Fuck!
Oh, cool. And Brooks is ready to roll. So
Oh, true. We're the Dally Band. We have caves.
hold on to your butts.
Based.
Hello, hello.
Why, hello, my friend.
How are you?
They're all like this. Oh,
I'm
no.
doing okay. It's going to be the last time I'm going to be doing a little online thing for a week. We've got a company retreat next week, so I'm going to be disappeared,
Nice.
far away.
What kind of retreat were you doing?
Well, company was founded during COVID, so we've actually never met each other. So
Oh, I see.
we're just getting together to work.
So this could be horrible.
It's going to be great. The fun part about the people I brought together is they're all people who I've worked with at one point or another. So the only downside would be if it turns out they don't get along. But since I've worked with all of them myself, I'm fairly confident it'll be a great time in person.
Fair enough.
And we've been building for about a year now, so everyone kind of knows each other already.
Okay.
I have somebody in the. You remember Sirius? He's the kid who's in prison at his college. He wants to come on to talk about the philosophy and trans stuff at some point. If you have no objections, I don't think he'll be on for very long.
No, I'd love anyone to come on and talk about any of this. I find it. This has actually turned out to be just more sad than anything as I've read.
I read like a tiny bit of it. In particular, I looked at like the metaphysics section, which was embarrassing. But like the whole thing is just this is a man who has just been. He's had a notebook that you can't see under his desk, and every time someone has slighted him, he has made a journal entry about it. And now he's written a novel. And this is what this man has done with his time when he hasn't been streaming for months and months and months and months and months. It's incredible.
Really...
It's like a dissertation. Like it's I've never seen anything like it.
Interesting. That's one take.
Yeah, well, once upon a time, Nixon was rumored to have a enemies list, and people laughed about it because it was kind of this really cute idea that like made him a caricature. Like, obviously, no one really does that. That's something a Bond villain would do. And then it turned out he totally did keep a list, and. He had a memo of like 20 people who were considered his most serious political opponents, and it was like, Jesus Christ, like you're not supposed to. This is satire level stuff, and it's just sad.
I feel weird when I make a 20-minute video.
Just sad.
Yeah, I feel weird when I make a 20-minute video responding to another streamer. Like that feels weird. Like what am I doing? This is like a marketable book. People have even been saying like he could actually like make bank just putting this on Amazon and getting it, independently published because it's like 130 pages.
Damn. It's
Or
getting
something,
longer and
isn't
longer.
it? It's insane. Here, I'm gonna pull in a Sirius. Let's hope he gets the ping. But anyways, I guess there's not really anything else to do at this juncture, but just open her up. We're not going to go over the whole thing. It's way too long.
Base.
Oh, and it's so deeply pointless.
True.
Oh, it's the.
Which is why we've
worst
convened a
thing I've ever
council of
seen.
people to talk on it.
There's a handful of things in here that are genuinely, I find. I mean, we'll get to the stuff where if I want to have a conversation and make a joke about.
Hello? Serious?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. You called me right as I got up from my desk. I had to push back. It's okay.
You always laugh maniacally when you get it from your desk?
Clever one.
What?
Tip.
I'm just bugging you.
Okay, sure enough.
Yeah, I don't like that. Okay.
Alright.
The other guy's upset about that.
All right, so I'm gonna share the screen here quickly. One moment.
Yep.
Yep. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I also wasn't planning to go over this, but I felt like having somebody else there would make it a little bit more bearable.
That's the only condition under which I would
Then
bother
just
looking at this
me
thing.
putting
I glanced at some pages that people had screen capped. Like, look at this stuff. The End of All Things, written by Stephen Bonnell II. Like,
This is-
I don't want
That
to.
second part is fake, by the way, guys. Apparently, I only have that. It's a fake name or something. Fuck, I don't remember what they said on Twitter about
This
it.
guy is the definition of peak arrogance.
I don't want to be
Good
mean or
Samaritan
anything.
compared to this guy.
I mean, I do, but the main thing is this reads like it was written by a child. Like, if it was actually like ironic and funny and actually clever, that'd be one thing. Like, if he was doing like some kind of comedy bit that was just taken a little bit too far, it was taken a little bit too seriously, I can kind of dig that. But no, this is actually like, this is his big thing. I love this. Chapter 4, Ian, the VQ, et tu, Brute, Simulaxtony. I'm interested in that one because that's definitely going to be about people like Demon Mama,
yeah.
where it's like, oh, this person demonstrated some good tactics for making interjections in a heated conversation with somebody who's interrupting you, or was just filling the void with fluff. Therefore, if people imitate those tactics, they are clones of yourself. That's how conversation works.
True.
The really relevant parts here, though, honestly, because most of this is not like this entire the birth of Twitch politics and def. I don't care about these. Who could
Yeah.
possibly care about these?
I think I labeled them all so you can just skip them if you wanted to, you know?
Anyways, the relevant ones are, conveniently enough, what you are actually interested in, Sirius. The trans question. He has the X question things in here quite frequently by the look of it, and then underneath character ontology. And I don't.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot of the meta what section.
Oh,
it
good
feels
lord.
like he's really trying to straddle. He's like trying to straddle this line where he wants to be taken seriously, and he's titling these things very serious sounding things, but also
All of these are very serious sounding. The VQ, the Harry Potter quotes, excessively serious.
his writing does not reflect the kind of seriousness or gravitas that he wants people to take him with. So
I mean,
ends
for
up kind
me,
of-
the line that the first couple paragraphs of the section on ontology and meta what just shows he's incredibly underread and shouldn't be talking about these things. It was actually just like, again, it's most of this is just kind of embarrassing.
Well, that's what stuck out to me the most here is
I'm so curious what their criticism are going to be.
I always thought, like, despite everything, like despite like
At least Gus said he's smart, but
his
now I know that he's
impulsiveness on
not.
social media, that's by now probably cost him thousands and thousands of dollars.
And earned me lots of money too.
Like, I thought there was somebody intelligent underneath that. Like, I got the impression from him, from his conversations from a while back, this was somebody who was like, you know, he was sort of grounded. He was sort of smart. Like, he wasn't like an academic by any means, but this was somebody who was, you know, like there was genuine intelligence there.
but
I read this
No.
and I'm getting the picture of like that guy in undergrad first year who thinks he's the smartest kid in the class because he read like the Wikipedia article on Nietzsche and thought it
Definitely.
was talking to him. I
I haven't even
suppose.
read the Wikipedia article on
He
Nietzsche.
is, and the underlying critique of all debate bro culture is ultimately that they're not about coming to an understanding or learning, that it is a rhetorical series of tactics and a series of systems that if you can learn to master them, you can win any argument regardless.
Oh, this is always the this is probably the most common critique that is never substantiated of me. It's when people are frustrated that their idols or people that they like or positions they like are poorly represented. People will often retreat to this idea that Destiny has secret tactics that he uses to win debates even though he's wrong all the time. Or this idea that like, oh my God, like you don't understand. Like it looks like he's winning these debates, but in reality, he's just using like secret like Jedi mind tricks debate tactics to win, and none of the debate is actually real, and none of the conversation is real. He's using tricks, but they'll never actually go on to share like, well, here's an example of where he was wrong here, but he wiggled out of it using this, or like, yeah, Hassan, Vosh, everybody kind of makes these arguments. Anytime your position is like losing a debate, it's always because there's like a debate tactic that's involved or something. That's generally how people view it, like pizza tactics.
Regardless of what you're actually arguing and what you believe, because that's not really how debate works. Debate's not about coming and arriving to the truth. It's silly to think otherwise. And so to have him, again, I've never thought any of these people were especially smart, but I assumed they at least had, I don't know, some level of,
Here's what I
hey,
thought.
I want to learn about things.
Yeah.
And this was, again, that the sentences about ontology, I just went, oh, I mean, well, again, we should get to those. I don't want to jump ahead too much.
And here's the thing.
Things in here that are just
Yeah, absolutely. Just very.
Maybe.
Hang on, just very quickly. Just before we get into this, lest anyone think that we're being snobby about this, it is not incumbent on even very intelligent people to have like a working understanding of things like ontology and like the state of actual philosophical work in the realm of metaphysics, yada yada yada.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with not being familiar with that. It doesn't make you dumb or dumber or even smart, frankly, to either know or not know about those things. What's really telling about this is that in his infinite wisdom, he saw fit to actually go into it when he knows nothing about it, but to try to posture as somebody who does.
Literally thinks he knows something about it.
Yeah, that which is the problem, because there's nothing wrong with not knowing something.
Well,
I wish I could get not President Sunday, just because he's boring. I don't know who the other two are, but I'd be so curious to get maybe, and hopefully they give specific criticisms. I'd be so curious to get them on and be like, what do you think I said that was so wrong? Or what gave you the impression that I thought I had this deep understanding of this particular thing? Like, I just didn't want to
Destiny,
have
you're just too good at debating. So yeah, that's why you must be wrong.
I didn't want to use this phrase ontologically evil, something that gets passed around the community over and over and over again without having something to back up for. So I give like my super basic understanding of like metaphysics and ontology. Like, what did I say that was so wrong and it gave you such a bad impression? I'm so curious.
Is arrogant enough to actually try to explain it. It's the same critique I have of people like, for example, plastic pills. These people who have these theory channels or philosophy tube, I think would be another one that's a good example, who makes entertaining content.
Yeah.
But they're trying to explain incredibly complicated concepts that people spend literal years to try to understand.
Years.
And they believe and have the audacity to believe they can do it in a handful of paragraphs or in a 5 or 10 minute YouTube video.
Oh God.
And that arrogance on top of believing they even grasp it when it's clear every single time they don't, this is where it's like I'm not an expert on everything. There's a million things people know better than me. There's a reason I don't talk about, for example, car parts or how to repair this or electrical engineering or structural integrity. I don't talk about those things because I don't fucking get them. Like,
What we're
get off my corner. Like, that's all I can think is like, dude, this isn't your game. Stop this shit.
Well, it could be if you put in the work. What we're witnessing here, though, is essentially Destiny falling into precisely what Hawes has been lampooned for months now. It's just
what?
For lack of a better word, it's LARPing.
True.
Like he's bought his own bullshit.
Absolutely.
See, what I thought was that okay, this is a person who like, and of course with the breadth of topics that you're dealing with and the kinds of hostility that you're dealing with, you need to sometimes be satisfied with a shallow and not particularly well verified degree of knowledge about some topic or whatever. When you go into a discussion where you're expected to have to be able to like point very fast, but then I think okay, but when he logs off, when he turns this off and he's done streaming, there must be something like behind this, right? Like when I turn off my computer, there are things that I read that are unrelated to what I'm doing on stream. I have interests in things. I have projects. This isn't all of it. But the existence of this just tells you this is all of it. Because we're talking about a man who streams for almost
years of it.
Years of
it.
I'm pretty sure this whole doc and all the examples, don't most of the examples of this come from like a 6 to 18 month period? Like, I think there are a few that are kind of back, actually, it might even be just within like a year period. I don't think that most of these well, there's a couple of really early Irish Laddie clips, but it's not like this is like 10 years of streaming history in this one doc. Like,
and
how long ago did we know that he was writing this?
4 years.
What?
4 years?
Yeah, I found a post called "The End of Things: Destiny's Manifesto" on his subreddit.
Oh no! They're talking about no. Do you guys know what they're talking about? They found the Destiny the game post. Oh no.
It's so funny that these guys don't know that they are only pretending to be smart and clever.
Four years
Didn't say
old.
Simon
I was trying to
Says.
find the actual text, and I ended up going to a subreddit, and I found a post 4 years old where they talked about it. So it's
That's-
at least that long.
Interesting. That's like, clearly it must have changed over that time, right? Because that was back when, him and Vosh hadn't like,
Somebody's got to correct
gone
this,
at it,
right?
gone at each other's throats yet, right? So I feel like maybe he's added and expanded the scope of this, but
well, he must have expanded the scope because apparently it was called "The End of Things" and now it's "The End of All Things," which is one of the best tracks from the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. But
They must
digress.
correct this, right?
Um,
Are they going into this thing? This has been a
here's what we're gonna
4-year
do.
project?
okay, this thing's too long to go through.
Nope,
And,
they're just gonna leave it at that. Okay.
I want to deal with the trans question last because that's going to make us mad. So I
Okay.
want to start with the fun stuff, and I want to go over
Oh, boy.
ontology. And before I do
Alright.
that, I want to refill my cider. So I'm going to open the page, and I'm going to let you guys have at it for however long it takes me to come back. Okay? Hang on, where is this?
okay.
Oh, these aren't links. Okay, here's a trans question, and then this is above. No, it's below that. Okay. So we want to go.
I hope I'm up to snuff on this because, like, I'm a lot more in the. God. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
All right.
We're not worried about it. Don't worry, kid.
Okay, I'm gonna be. You can see this, yes?
I think I'll
Okay,
mostly
so-
let Brooks take the lead on this because metaphysics is a little bit of a weak spot for me. But
I'm a political scientist. Okay, it's fine. None of us here are technically like
Oh, okay.
credentialed. Maybe Brooks is. I don't know, but credentialed experts in any of these fields.
Oh, they're already hedging their
yeah.
bets. That's smart. Okay, that's good.
I don't think that you have any insight whatsoever into your capacity for good until you have some well-developed insight into your capacity for evil. We're talking about ontology. And his choice of quote is Jordan Peters. Okay, fair enough. Like internet themed. Like I kind of get that. I'm gonna scroll down, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
You have a paragraph.
all right,
Enjoy.
all right.
Oh, here. Let me very quickly. The bottom here is. No, it's not. That's good. All right. Have at it. I'll be right back.
Should I read it out loud or do we just want to read it in our heads?
Oh, I'll give it a read.
Okay.
I read philosophy fucking 7-10 hours a week for people. Why don't I just read Destiny's philosophy for everyone?
All right. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Meta what? Metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that tries to study all the things that are, like space and time, universal substance, causation, etc., etc.
You have the
Well,
exact time and
people
place.
debate what metaphysics even means, or if metaphysics is even something to be solved. We're not addressing any of those issues here, though. It's simple enough to
You have
say
the
that
exact time and
metaphysics is the
place.
study of things, and ontology, more specifically, refers to how things are as they exist. If this doesn't make much sense, that's fine, because metaphysics and ontology are both dumb. And if you ask 10
True.
philosophers to define what these encompass, they'll probably get 15 different answers.
Absolutely
For
true.
the purposes of this document, ontological just means a sort of classification of something. So when one says ontological evil, you're saying that the very nature of a thing makes it evil, implying that there are no other actions or qualities that would allow it to escape such a qualification. For example, classification, apologies. For example, a combustion engine car might be a category of ontology in which a thing has 4 wheels and an engine. The combustion engine car might be blue or red. It might have nice seats or no seats. It might be a convertible or a hardtop. It might move fast or slow, and it might be loud or quiet, but it is always going to be a vehicle with 4 wheels and a combustion engine.
Can I just comment on how much I hate his writing style? It's so grating and what's the word I'm looking for? It's arrogant. That's what I am. That's what-
If I
Sophomore.
may,
I'll actually, I'll stand up here. I actually think I write pretty well. I think my writing is really accessible. Not to jerk myself off, but in terms of like all the content, I think I can actually write things in a pretty understandable way. I think my writing is like pretty easy to read. I guess you can feel like if somebody were to make an argument that my writing is sophomoric, I would consider that to be a compliment, because when I write things, I want them to be pretty accessible or understandable to people. I think I do a decent job at that. It's casual enough that it should be understandable, but like I think it's precise enough that you understand kind of what I'm getting at. This thing of like it's amateurish, like did I not use enough Vosh words for you? I don't know. I think it's kind of silly, but
Sophomore.
100% this isn't writing. Just so you know, 100% this isn't writing. This was dictated and typed, and then it's transcribed.
what? Wait, what does he mean by that?
Okay.
No, I think
But-
I think he wrote this. I think he
No,
wrote
not a chance. No one begins writing a sentence by saying, well, people debate what metaphysics means, because that's not how it works. We do that only when we're allowed to put intonation on the word, as I did when I read it aloud. Well, people debate. That's not a sentence people write. No one writes that. Even
Well,
bad
he-
writers.
I went back and I reread the entire thing and I changed up stuff based on my reading it. Like, of course I did. What do you mean? This was a document that was meant to be read, not just. Or I'm sorry, this is a document that was meant to be listened to, not just read. Like,
He talks like that though, right? Like you go,
Correct. That's
Well-
my point.
fuck.
okay, so one, I guess I did this through dictation, and then 2, this was 4 years in the making. So these are the first 2 facts. Interesting. Okay, what else we got?
That's
Okay.
literally my point.
Okay, but what I mean though is he may write the way
He talks.
He talks.
Yes.
No, I talk like this. No one writes that word, because that sentence doesn't work. It doesn't have a flow, even for a person who's writing it and typing it out.
All right.
Because if you read it without any,
I'm pretty sure where would the part be in my manifesto where I read this? Well, people debate about what metaphysics even means, or if metaphysics even. Yeah, of course I would write in anticipation of speaking this.
intonation, it is metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that tries to study all of the things that are, like space and time, universal substance, causation, etc., etc. Well, people debate what metaphysics even means. There's no. That's not how it works.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm so curious. This is starting to sound like Common Core math arguments. Does this guy, when he reads, does this guy read in his brain like monotonously? Does he actually read that way? Because I don't read that way. Usually when I'm reading things, there's like an intonation or there's a sentence structure that I'm trying to figure out, like as I'm going through a sentence. I'm not just reading off like one word, then the next word, then the next word, then the next word, then the next word. Does anybody read like that?
Okay,
Yeah,
look. Let the record show. I tried, okay? I tried to defend your destiny. The philosophy
I think
nerds.
that-
I don't blame him. I do this too. Like, again, I recognize it because I see how the writing works. I do this too. I use Otter AI. Often I'll say
Okay, hold on. I will actually call him out here. You cannot do dictation and have the dictation show up organically in writing. You'd have to clean up a fuck ton of the punctuation, I would imagine. And there are going to be a lot of extra words that you say while speaking that don't really make as much sense while writing. Things like likes and ums and stuff. I don't think I would ever attempt to write out, and especially because I'm not writing that much. Like, for as much as people say this is an 80, 90, 100 page document, this is like 1.5 spacing on a pretty big font. Like, this is the writing here didn't take me months, right? The writing here probably took me a few days. What took me a long time was the research and the clips and the compiling and the watching the videos and figuring out the content, the organization. That's what took most of the time. To write out a paragraph like this probably takes me 2 minutes, tops, if that, maybe a minute and a half. Why the fuck would I feel the need to dictate that? Like, oh God, it's a paragraph with 4 sentences. Time to turn on my auto dictation? What do you mean? You would type out a paragraph. It takes you a minute to do this. What?
Something out loud in order to make sure I'm able to get the thoughts down. But
Well,
this was
here's
not.
here's a
You just have sophomoric dictation, true.
related but different possibility. Suppose that he at some point in his streaming career gave this description somewhere, and then he just copy and pasted it out of the transcripts. I can see that.
Do you think I would be able to speak this entire paragraph into existence? I'm flattered if you think I'm that eloquently spoken in real life that I could just speak this manifesto into a fucking dictation software and it would just come out like that. I'm actually flattered. Thank you for thinking that of me. Very high thoughts.
That's possible. I was originally with Sunday, but I think that like the very first sentence makes the most.
Oh no, not good.